Welcome back to the Operation Freedom YouTube channel. What we do here is shine the light of truth on the deep state. They hate that. We do it figuratively with our presentations. We do it literally with our sponsor's product, PatriotLegacy.com. PatriotLegacy.com, featured product of theirs, the Patriot Beacon. 6 overall lighting functions. In addition, solar powered, don't need batteries. You can charge your other devices like your phone from it. In addition, you got a compass, you got a window breaking hammer, and you got a seatbelt cutter. Plus, if those deep state dweebs get just a little bit too close to you, blast them with this. They're gone. Go to patrioticlegacy.com, patrioticlegacy.com. Get yourself, your kids, your grandkids, your car. Can carry it with you anytime. patrioticlegacy.com, the Patriot Beacon. Some even think you're actually out of your mind. So right now, the impeachment vote occurred in the House. Nancy has not named the managers to present the case to the Senate. And she's saying, I want to see how this trial is going to run, because we make sure it's fair. What? There's been nothing fair in this process. But that's how the deep state likes it. And this whole impeachment issue, they thought it was going to be based on the Mueller report. Sorry, not so much. Wasn't even brought up in these articles of impeachment. Remember, the president can be impeached for bribery, treason, high crimes, misdemeanors. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say abuse of power or obstruction of Congress. It's all a charade. It's all a charade. And this whole Ukraine hoax that has led to this impeachment hoax, goat rodeo, their big dude, Eric Shermella, quote, in his whistleblower complaint, quote, I was not a witness to any of it, end quote. So how can you be a whistleblower if you weren't even a witness to anything, right? As we all know. We've outlined this before. He wasn't on the call. He got the information from that Vindman character. We'll get to him in a second. But it bears repeating. In his own whistleblower complaint, of which this impeachment hoax is based on, I was not a witness to any of it. Direct quote. The entire note reads like a journalist or a lawyer wrote it, and citing New York Times numerous times lends even less credibility to the whistleblower complaint. This from Zero Hedge. Simply put, some folks told some other folks about administration folks that might be talking to some Ukrainian folks. Simply put, perhaps the most interesting part is, quote, I was not a witness to most of the events described. However, I found my colleagues' accounts of these events to be credible, unquote. And as I always mention, to call this guy a whistleblower is not right. Bill Binney, Kirk Wiebe, Dennis Montgomery, people that have paid huge prices for coming forward, for presenting information about the criminality of the government. They're whistleblowers. This guy, at best, he's a gossip blower. Realistically, he's a traitor. He's involved in sedition. But there was somebody on the call, Tim Morrison. Now, it's interesting. Tim Morrison was not allowed to testify in public by the chairman of the committee, Adam Schiff. Why? How about this? Top NSC official told secret impeachment panel, this is behind closed doors, there was nothing improper transpired during the Trump-Zelensky call. A former top national security advisor to President Trump, Tim Morrison, told a secret impeachment panel that he believed nothing improper occurred during a July 25, 2019 phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. But he went on, this Tim Morrison. Not only that there was nothing wrong in the call, and he was on the call. Morrison also told congressional investigators, remember, this Vindman character, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, was also on the call. Vindman was the one who leaked it to the gossip blower. Yeah. Morrison also told congressional investigators that he questioned Vindman's judgment and that other NSC officials shared those concerns about Vindman, the dude who passed it to the gossip blower. Quote, I had concerns about Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's judgment. Among the discussions I had with Dr. Hill in the transition period was our team, my team, its strengths and its weaknesses. And Fiona, Dr. Hill, and others had raised concerns about Alex Vindman's judgment. I had concerns that he did not exercise appropriate judgment as to whom he would say what. When asked about rumors that Vindman might be leaking information to the press, Morrison said, quote, it was brought to my attention that some of my personnel had concerns that Vindman did that. And he also had access to things he was not supposed to see. Now you know why Morrison was allowed to testify in public. Kind of blows the whole impeachment hoax goat rodeo narrative, doesn't it? And there was also another person who wasn't allowed to testify by Schiff. Who was that? Mark Sandy. From Christina Lalai. OMB official blows up Schiff impeachment sham, testifies Ukraine aid temporarily held up because other countries weren't helping. Remember, one of the issues at hand was, well, we have to impeach President Trump because, well, he held up aid to Ukraine until the Biden investigation was started. No, not the case. Mark Sandy, an official serving at the Office of Management and Budget, testified to the House Intel Committee, again behind closed doors, not allowed to testify in public. He testified that President Trump temporarily withheld military aid to Ukraine over the president's concerns that other European countries were not giving enough to Ukraine. President Trump was trying to protect the United States taxpayer from yet another fleecing. That's why he held aid. Not because of a Burisma or Biden investigation. Sandy testified to that under oath. Schiff wouldn't let that out in public. In fact, the aid did come through Trump. And they obtained their weapons systems, their Javelin systems. That's something Obama never did. But the Obama administration, as we know from the videotape, were actually involved in a quid pro quo to stop a criminal investigation that involved United States citizens in Ukraine, which was a violation of the treaty. So really, we should retrospectively be looking at the impeachment of Barack Obama and Joe Biden, not the current impeachment of President Trump for fulfilling his duties as President of the United States. Many people outside that window say, well, this whole investigation started because of that phone call. No, once again, the people outside that window are wrong. Investigation of Biden enriching Burisma opened months before Zelensky was even elected, let alone that phone call. This from John Solomon. According to John Solomon, a new document shows that Ukrainian officials had opened a new probe into the firm linked to Hunter Biden, Burisma, months before President Trump's phone call with that country's leader. This is Solomon, quote, the United States government had open source intelligence and was aware as early as February 2019, the phone call occurred in July of 2019, that the Ukrainian government was planning to reopen the Burisma investigation. End quote. From Interfax. Joe Biden personally paid $900,000 by Burisma, according to Ukrainian member of parliament, in a bombshell admission. Ukrainian member of parliament, Derkash, revealed that former Vice President Joe Biden received $900,000 from Burisma Group for lobbying activities, citing materials related to an investigation. Durkheim also publicized sums of money, 50 to 80 grand a month, right? Transferred to Burisma Group representatives, including Joe Biden's son, Hunter. And remember, one of the witnesses that was allowed to testify in public, which means that they were part of the deep state hoax, this former ambassador to Ukraine, Maria Jovanovic, of course she was allowed to testify. John Solomon again exposes fired Ukrainian ambassador's links, Jovanovic, to radical Soros group. Jovanovic appeared before Congress, and there were members of Congress upset that she had been badmouthed by President Trump. Well, according to John Solomon, Ukrainian prosecutors have been investigating an alleged anti-corruption group, ANT-AC, over $4.4 million that was illegally diverted. She has links to that group. ANT-AC was founded by Obama administration and George Soros. And while we're on Jovanovic, enter Rudy Giuliani. Remember, he just returned from Ukraine about a week and a half ago. As I understand it, when the plane landed, his cell phone landed back in the United States. His cell phone immediately went off, and it was President Trump calling, asking how the trip went. As I understand it, Rudy Giuliani stated that he got more information that, quote, you could even imagine, end quote. Rudy Giuliani. Jovanovic was part of the cover-up. She had to be ousted. Quote, Jovanovic needed to be removed for many, this is Rudy Giuliani, needed to be removed for many reasons. Most critical, she was denying visas to Ukrainians who wanted to come to the United States and explain the Democrat corruption in Ukraine, end quote. With the deep state, they mirror, right? They accuse others of what they're actually guilty of. Okay. Members of the Obama administration were involved in a money laundering activity. And what's going to come out over time, I believe, and this is why, actually, I believe President Trump wants that trial in the Senate, because he wants to present witnesses that show the corruption that's been occurring with taxpayer money, our hard-earned money that's taken from us as taxes, is then dumped into this huge pot for foreign aid. You know what it is? It's not foreign aid. It's aid that's used for money laundering that goes back into these politicians' pockets through these institutes they set up. And one of the prime offenders, I believe, when it'll come out over time, is the McCain Institute. That money, and all these senators and congressmen all have their own charities. They all have their own institutes, right? What we're going to find is that, and this is why President Trump wants the trial, is it'll be shot to a country, let's say Ukraine. It's laundered through that country, and then the State Department gives waivers of where that money can then be divvied up within the country. Those waivers are dependent on what politician and what politician's institute is going to get that money coming back into that. It's one huge money laundering operation. And this is why you're going to see a push for a number of people in the Senate to say, no witnesses, no witnesses, So it might look like some of these folks are being loyal to President Trump and saying, you know what, no witnesses, let's get this thing over, no votes. And maybe this is actually the reason why Nancy Pelosi is holding those articles of impeachment and not sending managers over. Because the further this goes, it is evident that President Trump has put his stake in this in the ground, saying, okay, I'll tell you what, You want to do this? You want to take me on? Great. Because here's what's going to happen. We're going to call witnesses. Yeah, we're going to call witnesses. And we're going to expose this money laundering operation. And folks, it's going to involve D's and it's going to involve R's, and good. Because anyone and everyone, and it's pretty much everyone, that's corrupt needs to be impeached. Yeah. I think President Trump is looking at this, what goes around comes around. And he has all the details. And he has all the information. And he knows where that money's been laundered. There is no doubt in my mind. The further this goes along, and the deep state dweebs in the media, all owned and operated, lamestream media by the syndicate, they're going to make it seem like President Trump's on the ropes. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. I believe this is going to be a good new year. I also believe Durham and Barr are going to come through. Many people disagree with me on that. I get it. I think they're going to come through. And I also think that by the end of 2020, the deep state right now is on the ropes. Come the end of 2020, they're going to be on the ground and we're going to be counting them out. It's going to be a good year. I thank you for your time. I hope you'll join us at davejanda.com. I hope you'll join us on the public side, but I also hope you'll become a part of our Freedom family and subscribe to our subscription channel. Without the support of our subscribers, this YouTube channel goes away, the radio show goes away, the website goes away. I hope you become part of our Freedom family and support what we do and how we do it. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thank you for your time. Happy New Year.